Welcome into a 23 ABC Sports Special. I'm Matt Lively, joined with the incredible ESPN Pedro Gomez. I appreciate you so much talking with me for a few minutes.
Matt, it's my pleasure to be here with you, man. I wish circumstances were different, but hey, you got to make do with whatever you can.
Yeah, exactly. And when you say making do, it sounds like that's what the MLB might be doing. Nothing official from their standpoint, but the rumors are that a 3-division, 10 teams in each is kind of the plan that might be happening going forward. So the divisions are based off of geography. What are you hearing about this, and is this realistic?
Well, look, Major League Baseball and the Players Association are kicking around a bunch of different ideas. This is one of the ideas that they are kicking around. There's also the idea that maybe all 30 clubs come to Phoenix, where I live, and play all here because there's enough facilities, Major League quality facilities here. There's the 3-division idea that you're talking about. There's other ideas out there. There's also an idea that they may all be able to play their home games in their home cities. That's also something that is being kicked around. So I think that there's nothing definitive. They are just kind of sending out trial balloons, kicking ideas around so that if they're given the green light to go ahead and start, they're going to be ready with whatever plan they decide on. I personally think that maybe them playing in their home cities with no fans in attendance might be the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak.
Yeah, I could definitely see players enjoying that option the most. I know a lot of these guys don't want to leave their families. The other issue that I think about when I went to ASU for 4 years, you live in Phoenix. Yeah. Come July, 115 does not sound fun to play in. How would the MLB go about that? A game at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.?
Yeah, no, they would all be night games. And obviously the marquee game would be played at Chase Field, which is air-conditioned. But the other games would take place at 7:30 at night. But you lived here. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock is still 101 degrees, 102 degrees. And it would absolutely be something that would wear down a lot of bodies. You would not see players playing every day of the week. There's no way that physically they'd be able to do that. So there would obviously be expanded rosters if this were the case, probably 35 or 40, and you rotate, given 25 on any selected night that you'd be playing. But there are definitely obstacles to playing all the games here, and that's probably the number one obstacle, plus being away from your families as well.
It sounds like whatever happens, it's going to look much different than what we're used to on a yearly basis. From all the pitches that you've heard, what's the most realistic that you think could happen?
You know, Matt, I do think that they're leaning toward all 30 clubs playing in their home cities. Now, you'd have to have every state open in order for that to happen. And let's say California says no. Well, there's 5 major league clubs in California. That would obviously throw a wrench into that plan. I think ideally they would love for each club to play in their city because it would drum up the most interest, even though no fans would be in attendance. Just watching the games from your own home stadium would help the fans the most. So that's probably at the top of the list. The next one probably is the 3 divisions with, games being played here in Arizona, in Texas, and maybe in Florida as well. So look, there is nothing that has been set upon. They are just kicking ideas around.
In terms of players' reactions, have you spoken to anyone who's really on board, without naming names? What's the general consensus?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been speaking to players the last few days, and they want to play. And it's not – look, I can tell you, I talked to Max Scherzer today. I spoke to Brent Suter of the Milwaukee Brewers yesterday. There's other players I've been speaking to, Anthony Rizzo and things like that. But they want to play. And not just because they're competitors. Let's not be naive here. Financially, it also benefits everybody if there are games played. The big money guys are much more set. It's the 400 or so making $1 million or less. Those are the guys that are hurting the most. A lot of people think, oh, well, they got paid during spring training. Players do not get paid during spring training. The first paycheck is April 15th. They get paid on the 15th and the 30th of every month. and they missed out on that first check. So there are a lot of families that, need some money as well. They haven't been paid since September of last year. They only get paid during the season. And, during previous work stoppages, Matt, there was always at least the Players Association being able to tell the players, hey, look, there could be a work stoppage, save your money. Well, this was a lightning bolt. No one saw this coming, and players did not prepare for it. And you just turn it around, and there are definitely some families that are hurting. And I know no one's going to feel sorry for them. They're major league players, but there are a lot of players that have not made money yet.
Right. You have the Mookie Betts. You're doing okay. But there are a lot of guys just coming through the minor leagues that are not at that level yet. So
no, not even close.
I read today Dave Roberts. There's been this big question over will there be an asterisk next to a World Series champion if all of this goes through? Dave Roberts made a really compelling point that said having to keep your team together, the emotional aspect of all of this, it's actually tougher than a regular season. Is the consensus around Major League Baseball, this is a fake season and there would be an asterisk next to the World Series?
If they start playing, there'll be nothing fake about it. These guys are competitors. And, the circumstances they're going to be different than anything we've ever seen before, ever in the history of the game. Over 150 years they've been playing baseball. And, it will be different, but there will be absolutely nothing diminished or tarnished about anything that happens this season. It'll just be viewed as different circumstances.
When I was telling my friends that I was doing this interview with you, all of them had one question they wanted to know. Obviously, there will be some rule changes that go into any different format. The big one is the designated hitter. Is this something that after this year, maybe the DH sticks around league-wide?
Probably so.
Okay.
Look, there's been a lot of people that want to eliminate pitchers from stepping in the batter's box. I know that there's the occasional pitcher who can hit, a Madison Bumgarner, a Zach Greinke,
right?
Those type of guys. But the great majority are automatic outs. Now, pitchers actually do not want to see the DH because it's another big-time out that they have to record every 9 outs. They love having a pitcher come up because it's considered an out, basically. So National League pitchers love having pitchers hit, even though they can't, for the most part, hit, because it just makes their work easier. I would say that in all likelihood, if we have that 3-division alignment and there are DHs on all 30 clubs, that's probably something that's going to stick.
That's the end of the picture there. Okay.
Yeah.
We are just up the street from LA here in Bakersfield. So the Dodger, Astro, everything with the sign stealing is it's very fresh. It's very hot still. In this, I think with the regular season, maybe they were going to meet once. I don't even know if they were going to meet at all. But
no, they weren't. They weren't scheduled this year.
They weren't scheduled. So with a new division, the Astros and the Dodgers find themselves in the same league here or same division. What will that do for ratings? Will it be different because fans won't be in the stands? Do you still see that fire that will be there between those two clubs?
It won't be as intense as if fans were in the stadium.
Sure.
There'll be some, I mean, guys like Alex Wood have been on the record. Clayton Kershaw's been on the record. Justin Turner's been on the record saying they strongly dislike what happened. So that's not going to go away. But the fact that there won't be fans in there to kind of throw lighter fluid onto the flame will make it less. And plus, just all the circumstances surrounding this pandemic, how our lives have all changed. I think that also probably has pushed that whole sign stealing scandal to the back burner. Maybe not fully to the back burner, but at least pushing it in that direction. I don't think you'd see the same animosity as if it were a regular season game. But again, they weren't scheduled to face each other this year. The only thing that would have happened was the All-Star game would have been at Dodger Stadium, and certainly there would be several Astros there. The reaction from the Dodger Stadium fans when the player introductions were going on would have been interesting.
Do you think with everything that's happened, when fans do come back into stadiums, maybe it's not going to be as intense? I can still remember a time when I was at Fenway Park and it was Ryan Braun's first trip since his scandal and the boos were echoing. Do you think once fans are allowed back, the Astros it's going to kick right back into gear, or it's kind of, it happened, it's over?
It won't be it happened, it's over, but I don't think it'll be at the same fever pitch that it would have been if everything had been normal. I do believe that you will still have fans that are going to voice their displeasure with the Astros. That's not going to go away, but I don't believe it would be at the same fever pitch, like I said, that it would have been under normal circumstances.
All right, and then my last one for you, with how flawlessly ESPN did the NFL draft, which it was really impressive to see how.
I completely agree.
It was, and the ratings were great. Fans were so starved for sports. It's sounding like maybe NASCAR could be coming back. The NBA is returning to facilities, but in another country, Korean baseball is beginning very soon, and it's right out there in the public. ESPN's been negotiating to broadcast those rights. Will you have any role in that? How would that work?
It would all be done from here, from a studio, probably in Connecticut, the play-by-play and everything. We would not travel to Korea for these games. We would just be picking up the satellite feeds. But I think it'd be fascinating. I think fans are starved for live sports again. And even if it's Korean baseball, that's okay. There are some Americans playing over there. Matt Williams is going to manage one of the teams in Korea, the former San Francisco Giant, Arizona Diamondback player, the third baseman. So there will be some familiar names, certainly not many, but some. And that alone, just live competition, live baseball, I think that will, without a doubt, be a success.
Could you see that? I mean, Korean baseball players come over to the MLB all the time. Yeah. This is a great opportunity for them to nationally be broadcast in front of all these scouts who are sitting at home and have nothing better to do. So could you actually see an influx of Korean players over the next 2 years if this happens?
Well, I mean, certainly that possibility is going to be there. They're going to have way more exposure than they normally would. Many more eyes will be on them if this does, go on. And that's how you get found. That's how you get discovered. So, it may not be huge numbers, but you could very well see a few extra Korean players coming over to play Major League Baseball. No doubt about it. And there's been some, the old Pittsburgh Pirate infielder Gong and Young Kim, and there's been a handful. But sure, we could see a few more trickle in.
All right, Pedro Gomez. Pedro, you're one of the nicest guys in the sports media business. You treat ASU Cronkite students so well. So no surprise that you came on here with me today. Thanks for joining us, and stay healthy.
Yeah, you too, Matt. And thank you for the visit, and all the best to you, man. Like I said, I've always been a fan. I've followed you, so
thanks,
keep it
Pedro.
up. All right.